Yeah, so good afternoon, y'all. Appreciate everybody being here, and exciting time for sure. We've had, this is day 9 of practice, and you know, this team's really fun to coach. They're great kids. They've worked really hard, and it's getting, you know, we're getting closer. I think today's the 13th, and so we got 17 days before we have an official exhibition game. We'll have orange-white on the 26th, maybe, and which is a Wednesday. Before that, Sunday afternoon at 2 when we play DePaul. So, you know, it's a process with them, especially with our newcomers, both our freshmen and our 4 transfers. It just takes time, you know. Defensively, we're way, you know, where I want to be, but offensively, they got a chance to be really good, and we got some weapons, and so just trying to find our identity every day, trying to figure out, you know, how hard you got to play. For some of them, you know, they'll tell you they've never worked so hard in their life, and for others, they'll tell you, well, that's how you win, and so but it's a good group, y'all. This is really a special group. They're a great group of kids and work really hard, and I probably won't get too upset with them during the course of the year because they're always going to try their best, and that's all you can ask as a coach, is to have a group like that. So, man, I'm encouraged about this group. Obviously, a lot of people, y'all included, think very highly of this group and this team. As I said to somebody the other day, well, they hadn't seen the first 3 days of practice that I saw, but that's okay. We don't have to live up to it today, and so we've got a lot of work to do, and so we're excited about our future and excited about our season. And again, I think you all are going to really enjoy this team and enjoy covering them. And there's a lot of personality in this group, and so with that, I'll open it to questions.
Questions? You talk about the defense questions. Is it more of an individual thing or working together?
You know, I think it's so. For instance, you know, right now we got to identify our second best wing defender. And we always know Rory's going to probably be pretty good on the ball, but we got to find that Joanne Allen Taylor type, that Audrey Warren type that can go get a big guard and lock them down, and so we're trying to find that person and identify that person. Defensive chemistry is always the last thing you get. So I'm antsy in October, but it's no different than any other team I've ever had. It's just part of it. The problem we have, y'all, is that we're fixing to play some really good folks early in November. So we're trying to get good early, fast and quick, and it's just usually not the way it works. So the schedule is what it is, and so we've got to try to. And again, I've said this 100 times. I don't care if we win 198. I just want to win, or 50 or 48. You know, and some teams are different than others, and this one's certainly unique in its own way. So we'll figure it out. I think the identity of this group is still way out there, and we've got to figure that out in a pretty quick manner.
Like how much confidence I'm sorry, my bad.
Go ahead.
Okay. How much confidence do the returnees bring based on last year? I mean, last year was probably one of the most accomplished years that Texas women's hoop has had in a long time, just between winning the Big 12, almost winning 30 games, getting to another Elite 8. How much confidence is there?
I think those kids are confident. I don't think there's any question whether you're talking about, you know, our freshmen that are now sophomores, or Shay, who's now a junior, and Deanna, Gaston. You know, Gaston, y'all, I've said this since the day I signed her. If I could ever get her healthy, I think she could really be special. And she's finally healthy, y'all. She's got a leg that's been able to hold up in conditioning on the track. She's been in practice, so the kid's got a lot of different skills to her set, and she's really got a chance to be special for us. So, you know, I think all those kids that have played, I mean, you're talking about Dee, Shay, Rory, Amo. Those are 4 kids that have started off and on for us for last year. And then you're adding to that mix 4 other kids that were starters at their previous school. So there's a lot of confidence in that group. And so it's, you know, it's really encouraging. But I'll tell you, our 2 freshmen now, those 2 kids are special. Amina and Jacqueline, they bring a different dynamic than most freshmen. They're a lot like Rory and Amo a year ago in that they're confident, they're skilled, they play really hard, and they're talented. So those kids are going to play as well. So my job is going to be to figure out the chemistry piece and get everybody acclimated to one another.
Okay, what kind of growth have you seen from Rory, maybe from a leadership standpoint, as she goes into her sophomore year, kind of takes over that true leader of the team role and maybe even face of the program type role?
Yeah, you know, I think anytime I've had to remind our staff this, you know, we expect so much from Rory and Amo. They're just 19 years old. They're just sophomores. You know, they did so much as freshmen, but sometimes I got to pull the reins back on everybody and go, hey, y'all, these kids are still young, you know, and our expectation for them is sometimes, to me, again, it's unfair almost, you know. But I think the thing you get with Aurora is that when the lights come on, she's never ever not been 100%, you know, just getting after it. And so, you know, I think what she has done, her maturity level is to a point where she understands, okay, I'm the point guard. Coach is always going to complain to me when somebody else isn't where they're supposed to be. That just comes with the job. You don't want that responsibility to go play the 2, you know, and she's not a 2. So she understands that I'm going to get on her when she's trying to run something and somebody's not where they're supposed to be. And I think she gets that accountability piece more today. And she got it toward the end of last year too. I'd give her that. So again, I think every day's a process for her. Again, I think people like Taylor and Shay, they've tried to take on more responsibility from a leadership role. I think Taylor has a voice that our kids listen to. When we had the program in 2 weeks ago with the Navy SEALs, that was someone that they identified as a lioness. So, you know, they identify your team and they'll tell you got a lioness, you got a cub, or you got a zebra. There's nothing wrong with being a zebra. Just be the baddest zebra in the animal kingdom, right? And so, but Taylor was somebody that they really identified with, and Shay too. And so Rory doesn't have to do it by herself, you know. She's got help. And so I think that's encouraging. She's got support from them, and she knows I've got her back. So,
Court.
You mentioned Gaston on the court and her abilities, but after talking to Taylor, she was praising her off the field abilities and being the jokester, being the light in the locker room. How would you describe Gaston, like off the court and even at practice, making jokes and stuff like that?
Yeah, she's one of the personalities I was probably referring to earlier. She's I just talked to her and just told her how proud I am of her. She's different in a really good way. Not only as a basketball on the court, but just her whole, I did this to her. I said, this right here is way different to me. Smiling, just happy, you know. And again, when you're not every day having to fight through some pain from a leg that's cracked, you know, or a knee, it's just, I'm sure she's like, this is a world I haven't experienced in athletics in 7 years. And so, and she's having a really good year academically too right now. So I'm all about Dee right now. She's doing a great job, and you know, with every kid, it's, you know, being a college athlete is day to day, and you know, it's with her, she's really strung some good days together. And again, I'm happy for her because I know she's happy. I'm really proud of her.
Travis.
Aaliyah was telling us towards the end of last year, she started to feel like the old Aaliyah, and she was excited about bringing that into this year. Do you feel like we just saw like a little hint towards the end of last year for possibilities?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she finally got healthy, and she's, I think, got back to what we felt like was going to be her old self, her preseason Big 12 Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year self, that she just wasn't able to be during the course of the year due to that injury. So I think her confidence, you saw it go way up late in the year, and she impacted a lot of games for us. Had the game-saving block in the Sweet 16 against Ohio State, and had a monster game. I think she had a double-double against Utah in the second round. So she played really well down the stretch. She came off the bench, I believe, against Baylor and played some big minutes and shut down Nyla Smith. And so it was, that's the kid that we're hoping that we got back now and is ready to go for this year and years to come.
Cliff?
Coach, the back-to-back Elite Eights that this program has made it to, is that hunger to kick that door down and get to the Final Four? Is that hunger something that follows this program and your staff and the players every day?
I think so. I mean, I think that's our ultimate, the ultimate goal is just not to get to the Final Four. The ultimate goal is to win that last game. And, you can talk about it, and we've certainly done our share of that, but, man, you got to go live that thing. You got to live it every day. And like I said, my biggest worry is that there's a lot of people put a lot of expectations on this team right now. Not sure that's real fair. We just have a lot of young people on our team, and we got a lot of additions that haven't played here at Texas in our style and done things the way we've done it, and so they're trying to figure things out. So it's one thing to talk about, it's another thing to do it, and one thing to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. That's what we're doing right now. We're trying to walk the walk. We're trying to get it done every day. And, if we'll keep working, I like our chances. This is a great group, and they're really competitive. Like, this group really competes every day with each other. And that's how you get better.
Yeah. Vic, can you address the status of both Kendall and Jordana?
Yeah, so bless Jordana's heart. She had an ACL injury in high school, had it repaired, maybe came back in November of her senior year. January, re-injured it, had it repaired again, got here 4 months into rehab. It wasn't right. And so she had to see the doctor again. There's been, she's had another surgery, so she'll be completely out this year. She'll take a medical red shirt, and we're glad she's here with our rehab people, with Rosie and can rehab here, and so the kid's been through it, and she's, bless her heart, she's had some significant injuries there, and so we'll take our sweet time with her. There's no rush for her, and we'll get her back in due time. But she won't play this year, and maybe by the end of next summer, she could, I think, maybe possibly be cleared. And again, we're not in any hurry. We knew that going in, that she wouldn't play even before this last surgery. In regards to Kendall, she's got a private matter that she's dealing with, and in respect to the family, we'll just leave it at that. And so those two kids, Taylor's a little dinged up right now. She's not practiced all week, and Denise's banged up a little bit, and she hasn't practiced in a couple weeks. So we're getting through a little bit of a stage right now, but it's better to have it now than later.
Is Kendall on the team still?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd follow up. You kind of dealt with this last year with Natasha and her knee injury. Is that a common thing, just them not being able to properly rehab in high school and then getting here? It's just a different issue. I mean, everyone's a different case. But Is that a common theme?
I think so, Danny. I think that when you're seeing our people every day, 5 days a week, way different than going as an outpatient to some clinic that sees 100 different kinds of people with different rehab injuries every day, and you've got a set time, okay, you got 30 minutes or 45 minutes, whereas you got unlimited time here, right? And so I think it's way different. I think what we're able to do with our kids, our student athletes, is just at a whole nother level. So to have them here, to me, is a real benefit. And so it's just the way it is. It's unfortunate. I always worry about that, Danny. You know, when we got Tasha, she didn't even have a knee brace. Like, that's crazy. That kid was 7 months post-surgery, but it was during COVID, you know, and when it happened, or maybe that next year when we still had a little bit of a COVID issue, and we just, you know, we were so careful with her. Like, I only had her literally, she was cleared full contact the very first game in November. And we were so careful with her. And again, that's just how we do things. We're going to be careful with them. And but I knew that if we could ever get her to that point where we could work with her a little bit, I really felt good about it. And so, yeah, I think it's really a difference to have them here with our medical people, with our facilities. I just think it's a big difference.
Take two more quick ones, and I got to get Coach to practice. Mark and then.
Yeah, you mentioned Gaston being healthy for the first time in years. It seemed like, wasn't she like the #1 kid in her class a long time ago?
Yeah.
Is she that healthy, and can she be that good the way she was viewed as maybe a sophomore?
Yeah, so her freshman year in high school, she was the #1 kid in the 2020 class. So in 2016, as a freshman, she was the #1 player in her class. And obviously she's just been through so much, bless her heart. And so, and I saw her do something yesterday and I thought, that's the kid, you know. And so you just want that kid to have a good, healthy year, because there's just no telling how good. And she can play multiple positions, 4 and 5, but she's got great ball handling skills. She can alter shots, block shots. I mean, I think y'all remember she blocked a shot against Baylor in the Big 12 tournament. It's pretty phenomenal. Threw it off the backboard, and so, and it's exciting because I can see in her a different kid. She's just different. Like, it's such a struggle dragging that leg around. Her freshman year, when she literally was playing on a broken shin, broken bone in her, you know, in her leg. Then last year it didn't quite heal right. It wasn't as bad, but it was bad. But she got through it. Give the kid credit. And so she's just different. And to me, she's that kind of a difference player that can really impact our team.
Corey, last one.
Coach, I know you talked about how competitive this team is, and after talking to the girls, they mentioned one thing that stood out to them so far is being ranked #2 in the conference, even though they're #3 nationally. So are you using that as bulletin board material, or have I talked about that at all? Because the girls seem to feel some type of way about it.
Yeah, you know, one thing about social media, you don't have to tell them anything that's in the newspaper, right? It's not like they're not reading it. And so they know what's going on. I mean, you know, I don't have to fill them in on too many things that are happening in the world. And that's the good about it. You know, sometimes there's no point in me writing it down in the old days and putting it on the bulletin board, right, in the locker room. They already know. They're like, Coach, we got it. You know, and it's the same, you know, it's my same argument. I mean, how can you have a kid that's an All-American but ain't good enough to be on the first team All-Big 12 team? Like, but hey, it is what it is, right? So if they want to use that for fuel, hey, let's use it for fuel. It's fine. But the biggest fuel, in my opinion, that we have is that right there, knowing everybody's coming for you. And if you don't embrace that, every team on this campus, if you don't embrace that, you're going to get beat. Because you're going to get, I'll say it again, you're going to get everybody's best week of practice, everybody's best shoot around, everybody's best pregame meal. So you've got to embrace the fact that everybody's coming for Texas. And so that to me is the fuel I live on every day. I mean, that's what wakes me up at 3:23 this morning, you know, out of a dead sleep when I'm dog tired, and I'm like, okay, what do we got today? I got to get this fixed. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got UConn on the 14th. We got to go play that tournament in the Bahamas. It's still only November, but it isn't like I'm just signed up to go play and I don't care what happens, right? And so those are the things that They don't keep me up. I don't have a problem falling asleep. It's staying asleep. That's my issue. So, you know, but that just comes with the territory. So I'm good. Hey, you got a question, don't you?
I do.
Give it to me.
It's one that I've asked players a little bit about what era Texas women's basketball is in. I've heard dog era, villain era, come up era. What do you think is a good era that defines this season of Texas women's basketball?
That's a great question. You know, I think it's a new day for us. It's a new era for us. I'm talking about our tenure here, my tenure here. I think it's an era where we're trying to reestablish Texas as one of the top programs in the country, not a top team. Teams come and go out of the top 25, especially like 13 through 30. Like those teams are in and out, you know, all the time. We're trying to establish Texas in our history as when the preseason poll comes out every year, you don't have to go past number 10. You're looking, okay, where's Texas in the top 10 this year preseason? And then living there throughout the whole season. That's where I'm trying to get this program, not be a top 25 team, but be a top 10 program. That's my charge as the head coach here. If we do that, then we're living in the right neighborhood. We're competing at the right level. And that's my challenge. And if you're doing that, then you're competing for a national championship every year. Because those top 10 teams, the day's over where you've got one dominant team and then everybody else chasing them. There are some really good teams out there, but I think we're one of them. So if you can just get in that group, you've got a chance to win it. It's just a matter of, can you do the little things, be different in a good way and do the little things. It always comes down to little things. Against Stanford, I still think we were the better team. We'd already beat them once. We couldn't score that night. We guarded them fine, held them 59 points. You're supposed to win, right? Danny, when you hold somebody to 59 points, you got to win. But we couldn't score. And so this team probably can score, but I don't know if we can hold anybody to 59 points. I said anybody. So that's where we're at right now. But that again, that's the era I feel like we're in. We're in that era of trying to move up and live in a certain era in those rankings year in and year out. And so what would that be? You got the name for that? That's your challenge. Next time I see you, I need to have
I'll
that.
get a word
We'll
for
put
you.
it on a poster.
All right.
All right. Appreciate y'all. Praise the Lord and Longhorns.
Thank you.